game, she's playing the white pieces against Kumari Priyanka, who is an Indian chess prodigy, although I think she's 20 or 21 in this game. It was played in January of this year, so January 25th, 2022, in Serbia, as you can see there. Um, Kumari is a women's international master, and as you can see, she was rated at 2200 in this game. Miaoyi just 2166 at the beginning of this year. But let's go ahead and get right into the game. Miaoyi begins with pawn to e5, or pawn. Miaoyi begins with pawn to d4, and we have the King's Indian as the Indian master plays knight to f6. And now Miaoyi plays pawn to c4. So we have, this is just standard Indian game. We have pawn to g6, as is the normal move to play here in the King's Indian. And now Miaoyi plays knight to c3. And of course, the bishop comes to g7, as often the case in the King's Indian. That's the book move. And we have pawn to e5 by Miaoyi attacking the center, and pawn to d6 by black. And again, this is a book move. And now we have pawn to h3 here by Miaoyi. A little bit of a rare move. It's the Makhanoff variation of the King's Indian defense, although there's still been hundreds of games played like this in master play. Black goes ahead and castles now. And now we have bishop to e3 by Miaoyi. This is a book move in the position. And we have pawn to e5 now by Priyanka, I should say. And now Miaoyi advances her d-pawn to d5. That's a book move in this position. And now we have knight to a6 by Priyanka. It would have been better to push the pawn first, actually, in this position. So that was a bit of an inaccuracy. But let's continue. We have pawn now to g4 by Miaoyi. This is actually the best move in the position. So Miaoyi not looking to castle, perhaps. It doesn't look like there's going to be a great spot for her to castle to. Maybe queenside. But let's continue. After pawn g4, we have knight to c5 by the Indian master, and now pawn to f3 by Miaoyi. Definitely a solid move in the position. And now we do see pawn to a5. So she moves her knight quick enough that this does make sense. And now we have knight to e2 by Miaoyi, and pawn to c6 by the Indian master. And this is the best move in the position. Miaoyi repositions her knight to g3, and now we have pawn capture. So c captures on d5. We have c captures on d5 by white. And now we have bishop to d7 by Kumari, and pawn to h4 by Miaoyi. This is the best move in the position, and it is as of this move on move 13 that this is a brand new game. So this position has never been played in recorded play. Miaoyi finds the best move, but that one hasn't been played before. And now we have knight back to e8 by Priyanka. Would have been better to actually push the pawn to h4 here, or excuse me, h5 would have been a better move. But let's continue. Miaoyi now advances the h-pawn again to h5. And yeah, this is a bit of an inaccuracy. Queen to d2 would have been a better move to play first. But let's go ahead and continue. We now have bishop to f6 by black. And now we do see queen to d2. This is the best move in the position. And now Priyanka also finds the best move in the position. Bishop to h4, pinning the knight to the king. And Miaoyi does make, what the engine says this is a blunder. She plays king to f2. Would have been better to move the queen over here first. But the variation actually doesn't end up working out too much differently, so we're not actually going to go into that. I don't think this ends up being a blunder, and the engine doesn't really show how she's punished for this move. So you can see the double question marks. That means blunder, but it doesn't seem to be a blunder in this position. The Indian master does find the strongest move in the position, plays pawn to f5 now, and Miaoyi plays g captures on f5, so pawn captures on f5, and then we have g captures on f5 by black. So pawn, G pawn captures on f5. And now we have E captures on f5 by Lu Miaoyi. We have bishop captures pawn. So Lu Miaoyi's move was the best one, but bishop captures pawn is actually not the best move in this position. She should have played knight to G7 instead. And let's go ahead and take a look at that variation real quick. So instead, Kumari should have played knight to G7. Best move for white then would be bishop to H3. We'd have bishop then captures the pawn on F. And that would have been a better way to play it. The position would have been a little stronger for black. But let's go back to what actually happened on the board. Yeah, so Priyanka does capture, and that was a mistake. She could have had a slightly better position. And we will continue now. Lu Miaoyi plays bishop to H6 here, attacking the rook. Engine suggesting that this is a inaccuracy. You know, just moving the bishop to E2, connecting the rooks would have been a better move. A lot of times you want to get your rooks connected, and evidently Stockfish is in a hurry to do that. But we will continue now. We have knight now to G7. Best move in the position. And now Lu Miaoyi gets out of that pin with king to G2. And now we have a rook lifted to F7 by black, suggesting that she should have moved her king over first before doing this, saying this was a mistake, but we will continue. And Lu Miaoyi actually blunders in this position. She plays knight to C5 here. And yeah, this is a mistake. And we'll go ahead and take a look at why that's the case. So this move is a blunder because if black played properly, they would win this knight here. This knight ends up hanging under correct play, and we'll take a look at that. So black should play pawn to E4 here, and we would have pawn to F4 by white, and now bishop to G4 by black, and now bishop to E2 would be the best move in the position for white. And now bishop captures bishop on E2. Rook captures bishop on H4. And now bishop to F3. Lu Miaoyi's got to move her king and probably protect her rook. But the knight is hanging over here also. So, you know, white would play king here, defending the rook. And then we'd have queen to D7 check, forking the king and the knight, and of course the knight will fall. So Lu Miaoyi would end up being down 3 points if this actually happened on the board. Let's see what black actually plays. So instead of the pawn push, which would have punished Lu Miaoyi in this position, we have bishop captures knight on E3. So this was a mistake. As we saw, she should have pushed the pawn, and she may have ended up with a variation where she was winning. So bishop captures, and of course king captures back. Only reasonable move in the position. So king captures on G3. Now we have a fantastic move by Kumari. She plays bishop to E4. And now we have bishop to F2 by Lu Miaoyi. Engine suggests that it would have been better to move the bishop to G2 instead, but we will continue. Now we have bishop captures pawn on F3 by black, and Lu Miaoyi recaptures, bishop captures on F3, and now we have queen to F6 by black, and this is a blunder. She should have played knight to F5 instead. She could then move her king over and bring the rook into the action over here, and Lu Miaoyi would be in a lot of trouble. But let's continue with what actually happened on the board. Lu Miaoyi brings her rook, so rook A to F1 here. And now black does play this knight move, knight to F5, check. Lu Miaoyi's going to move her king. She moves her king to F2. The engine actually suggesting that she move it over to H2 would have been a better move. But and either way, black is winning in the position. Lu Miaoyi's in some trouble here. And we have now knight captures on H6 as there appears to be 2 attackers there, and there was only 1 defender. So Lu Miaoyi cannot recapture there, and she is now down some material. She plays king back to A1. She plays king back to E1. And now we have queen to f4 by the Indian master. She should have said, instead, created Alekine's gun by tripling the heavy pieces, pair of rooks and a queen on the same file called Alekine's gun. That would have been a better move here. But let's continue. Lu Maoyi captures the pawn on d2, threatening the rook and offering the queen trade. The Indian master does capture on d2. And of course, we have king captures on d2 by Lu Maoyi. Now the rook is hanging, so, well, yeah, the rook is up for grabs anyway. So the Indian master does move his rook, or move her rook to d7. Would have been better to go ahead and move the rook instead down to f4, says the engine, but we will continue once again. Lu Maoyi plays rook h to g1 check. And now the king does go to the corner. That is the best spot for him, as, yeah, you don't want to step over here with this bishop set up for a discovered check, so only reasonable move in the position. And now Lu Maoyi does move her knight back to c4. And we now have rook to e8 by Kumari. Instead, the pawn should have just been pushed right now, kicking the bishop, and, you know, the knight is defending, but that's not what happened on the board, so we'll continue. Lu Maoyi plays knight to b6, attacking the rook. Would have been better, perhaps, to move the bishop to g2, but that's not what happens. We'll go ahead and continue. We now have rook to d6 by the Indian master. And Lu Maoyi moves her knight back to c4. Best spot for that knight. That's the best move in the position. And now we have rook back. So we have rook d to d8 by black. And now knight to e3 by Lu Maoyi. This is the best move in the position. And now we do see pawn to e4. So that's why that knight needed to protect. Although this is a mistake in the position. Black should have played instead knight to f7 first, and then played that move. Now Lu Maoyi plays bishop to e2, and we have now rook to f8 by black. Lu Maoyi goes ahead and captures. She accepts the trade offer, so rook captures on f8, and of course we have rook captures on f8 by black. And now rook to c1, pressuring the knight by Lu Maoyi, and we have pawn to b6, just simply defending. That's the best move in the position. Lu Maoyi now repositions her knight to c4. Perhaps the pawn push first would have made a little more sense, according to Stockfish. And now the knight drops back to d7 for black. We have king to e3 by Lu Maoyi. The engine saying offering the rook trade would have been better here. Okay. But perhaps Lu Maoyi doesn't want to trade more material because it's kind of going to be a little bit harder to win. Things would end up being kind of drawish, so it does make sense to activate the king in this sort of position. You do need to have an active king in the end game. And now we have knight to f5 by black. Lu Maoyi grabs the pawn on e4. Which is an inaccuracy, says the engine, and she should have just moved away back to d2 instead of grabbing the pawn. Now we do have knight to g3 by black, forking the king and the bishop, but of course Lu Maoyi can just go ahead and defend with king to d3. And now we have rook lifted to f5 by black. This is the best move in the position, forking those two pawns, although the h-pawn is defended, so Lu Maoyi just goes ahead and pushes her pawn to d6. Definitely a solid move in the position. And now we have knight captures bishop on e2, and of course king captures knight on e2, and now the rook does pick up that pawn on h5. So black takes the pawn on h5, and we're still even. We have knight now to e3 by Lu Maoyi, and now we have the best move in the position for black, rook to c5, offering the trade, and Lu Maoyi doesn't want to do it again. She moves her rook to f1, and now we have king to g7, activating black's king. Definitely a solid move. Lu Maoyi plays the strongest move as well, king to d3, activating her king, and now we have pawn to h5 by black, king now to d4 by Lu Maoyi, and we have king to g6 by black, and now knight to c4 by Lu Maoyi, getting a defender on that pawn. And now rook to g5 by the Indian master. And now we have rook to e1 by Lu Maoyi. And now rook to g4 by black. Lu Maoyi drops her king back to c3, best move in the position. And now we have rook to g3 check once again. Lu Maoyi moves her king to c2, and now we have king to f6 by black. That's the best move in position. And Lu Maoyi brings her rook up to e7, cutting that king off from getting towards that pawn, just kind of limiting the scope of black's king. And black wants another trade, plays rook to g7, and Lu Maoyi does not want the trade. She plays rook to e8, best move in the position. And now we have pawn to h4, definitely a solid move, although dropping behind the pawn would also be a good move in this position. Now we have knight to e3 by Lu Maoyi, and now king to g5, hoping to help get that pawn up the board. So black plays king to g5. Now we have knight to d5 by Lu Maoyi. And better would have been to go ahead and get the rook behind that pawn as soon as possible, prevent the rook from doing it himself. So this is a bit of a mistake in the position. And black does find the best move here, plays rook to g6. And now Lu Maoyi moves her knight back to e3. And we have rook captures on d6. This is a mistake. The pawn should have been just pushed instead. So grabbing the pawn was not the best move in the position. Lu Maoyi now does play the best move in the position. She plays rook to g8 check. And black again wants to trade rooks, plays rook to g6. And Lu Maoyi does not want to do this. So it says that the best move in the position is rook captures on g6, but that leads to a drawish position. Lu Maoyi instead blunders and goes after the pawn here. And yeah, that was not the best move. Now we have rook to h6 by black. Also not the best move. Probably should have played knight here instead. But let's continue. Lu Maoyi, again, she does not want to trade rooks. She doesn't want to draw. She wants to win this game, so she plays rook to g6 check once again. And now we have king attacks knight with king to f4. And of course, Lu Maoyi's got to do something about that. She plays knight to g2 check. And now we have king to f3. Probably would have been better to move the king back to e5 instead, but let's continue. We now have knight to e1 check by Lu Maoyi. So yeah, the engine says rook to g6 is best, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. So instead, white should have played rook to g6. Lu Maoyi should have played rook to g6. You can't take, if you take the rook, then of course knight captures on h4 check, wins the pawn, and yeah, black is then, or well, then it's definitely a draw. It would most likely be a draw in that situation. So black should go ahead and move the rook to h8 here. Then black could go ahead and grab the h-pawn, knight captures on h4, rook captures knight, and black, of course, is totally winning in this position as she would be up a knight. So that's the way that black should have played. Let's go back to what actually happened on the board. So Lu Maoyi plays knight to e1 check. Now we have king to e4, and now rook to e8 by Lu Maoyi. King now to f5, best thing that black could do. And now rook to d8, attacking the knight. Knight repositioned to e5, and now Lu Maoyi attacks. And now Lu Maoyi attacks the king again. We have rook to f8 check. And now king to g4, trying to get that pawn closer to promotion, or trying to get some defense for him. Would have been better to move the king probably to g5 instead, so that you'd have options, other options for blocking. But let's continue. Now we have rook to g8 by Lu Maoyi, and now we do see rook to g6, so offering the trade once again. Lu Maoyi still doesn't want the trade. She plays rook to e8, attacking the knight. And we have now rook to g5, defending the knight. Now Lu Maoyi finds the best move in the position. She plays knight to g3. And now we have pawn to h3, the best move in the position once again. And Lu Maoyi now plays knight to e3 check. And now we have king to f3, attacking the knight. Lu Maoyi moves her knight to f1 now. And now we have king to g2, attacking the knight once again. This is looking pretty scary. Lu Maoyi plays knight to e3, the best move in the position, checking the king. And now we have king to f2 by black. And Lu Maoyi plays knight to d1 check. And we have king to g1 by black, the best move in the position. And now Lu Maoyi plays rook to e8. We now have pawn to h2. And it is in this position on move 72 that Lu Maoyi does resign this game. So black actually wins this one. We all lose games. Actually, Lu Maoyi did win with the black pieces. She did beat Priyanka with the black pieces, but she loses this one playing the white pieces. Well, thank you for joining me for that. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, as I will be covering pretty much all of Lu Maoyi's games, and also other Grandmaster games or other games, including Grandmaster games. I just did a game on the Speed Chess Championships between Magnus Carlsen and Hakuro Nakamura, which you can check out. Please also check out my Patreon, as I do offer classes, individualized and group classes. Anyway, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.